So on to our cervical or neck cars. So this is an upper spine controlled articular rotation. This is a range of motion that, or this is a movement that has ranges of motion that isn't always agreeable to everybody's necks. So I want you to be sure that you're always moving through the safest, biggest, pain-free range of motion that you have access to today. So that means not pushing through pinchy, painful positions. One of the ways that I have found can decrease the discomfort with certain positions is really emphasizing that element of control, which sounds sort of obvious, but to do that, think about trying to physically push your head into each position and each angle of this rotation. So you could envision that your head is encased, your upper trunk is encased in a cube of jello, and you have to break through the jello to move through this rotation. Or you could, I think of memory foam, or sometimes I describe like 1,000 tiny fairy hands that are trying to resist your head as it moves in its circle. So again, pain-free range of motion only through this. Add that element of control or a little bit of resistance, like you're pushing into a bit of force or having to create a bit of force as you create the movement. And I also want to create that global tension, that irradiation, where I'm rooting my feet, or in this case my knees, into the ground. I am in high kneeling only because I don't want to chop my head off using my camera here. So you can be in standing here instead of high kneeling. We can also do these neck cars in many other positions, but the basic cars I usually do in an upright position. So in this case, I'm going to root my knees into the ground, spread the floor a little bit, feeling that contract through my legs and into my hips. My core is engaged. I'm going to create a little bit of a tension in my upper body by kind of driving my fists into the ground, and a little bit of tension, just clenching the fists gently here. From here, I'm going to keep my trunk and upper body nice and stable as I tuck my chin towards the top of my sternum, getting my chin as close, making as many double, triple, quadruple chins as I can get away with. From here, I'm going to keep my chin, my neck flexed as I scour the right collarbone, taking my nose towards my armpit. When I maximize my rotation, I'm going to start to drop my right ear over towards my right shoulder, coming into side flexion. I'm going to keep that head tipping over to the right as far as I can, taking that chin upwards, moving towards extension. From here, I'm going to drop my head into extension, thinking about pushing against that wall of jello, scouring over to left ear to left shoulder. All right, I've maximized my left lateral flexion. I'm going to start to rotate, dropping that chin down towards my left armpit. And then chin stays hugging tight to that collarbone as it scours back to the starting position. I'm going to repeat, going in the other direction. So chin stays tight to my sternum. I'm going to scour the left collarbone, taking my chin over to my armpit, maximizing rotation. Once that's maximized, I'm going to start to tip into side flexion, left ear to left shoulder. Maximize that, pushing through that imaginary resistance, dropping into extension, moving through my maximum pain-free, safe, comfortable range of motion, taking my right ear over to my right shoulder, dropping my chin down to my right armpit, scouring over to center. So that was one car in each direction. I would repeat that, but I'm going to show you what I would do if some of these positions don't agree with your head or your neck for whatever reason. The neck can be a bit sensitized post-concussion, post-whiplash. We want to really respect and honor that. So if you want to explore range of motion, you can do sort of, I think of this as like a pendulum version. So let's pretend this position was kind of bitey and uncomfortable. So what I might do is I might come into that flexion. This feels not pinchy, this feels safe and comfortable. I'm gonna scour my chin, moving leftward over towards that armpit. I'm gonna drop my ear, my left ear towards my left shoulder, and I'm just gonna come to that threshold before I get any discomfort or pain. And then I'm just gonna unwind, go back in the other direction. Scour the collarbones, moving rightward, chin to right armpit, dropping right ear to right shoulder, and I'm gonna move just to that threshold before there's any pain, pinch. So we can kind of yo-yo back and forth through the parts of the range of motion that feel most comfortable for you. If you have discomfort in rotational range, a reminder, our priority or our most fundamental action of our spine is flexion and extension. So it may mean pressing pause on your rotational range or just sticking with the smaller part of that range of motion that feels comfortable. And it might mean going back into our segmental control. So reviewing that segmental control and exploring that in the upper back and neck a little bit more specifically and seeing if that is agreeable to your spine and maybe working on building that control first and checking in on your rotation to see if that positively changes. Back to our original videos, we do talk about closing angle joint pain and why we may want to get that pain assessed. So if you haven't already, you may want to go and make sure that there isn't anything that needs to be tuned up and attended to by a physical therapist or a chiropractor or an osteopath. All right, so cervical cars, keep it pain-free, keep it as big as possible. The visual that I take when I do these cars is I think about making as big of a circle with an imaginary beam of light that's in my nose. So as I travel that range of motion in my neck, I'm taking that beam of light into as big of a circle around me and as circular as possible. All right.